ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third Team Takeover interview. My name is Ross, aka Takeover Sports, and today I'm interviewing the new quarterback coach at Edison Prep, Coach Jordan Barlow. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I appreciate you taking some time out. I know camp's about to start, first camp.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we got a couple weeks finishing up summer workouts right now.
okay, okay, yeah, exciting time, exciting time.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
Yep. Well, before we start talking about the team and finally going over there, I do want to get into some background. So your last year at SAGU, you threw for what, 2,700 yards, 26 touchdowns. Also ran for 500 yards and 9 touchdowns. You guys
Yes,
went
sir.
9-3 and won the Victory Bowl. And you specifically won the MVP of the Victory Bowl.
Yes, sir.
Uh, yeah. After that, you went to Germany
hmm
to play at Leipzig, and then you went to the EuroLeague in Switzerland for the guards, right? So, what are some of the differences kind of playing overseas opposed to playing here in the U.S.? So, like culturally, or play style wise, things like that.
Yeah, it's a big difference for sure. The level of talent over in the European League right now is really high. A lot of guys that were in NFL camps, a few guys that played plenty of regular season games in the NFL. So the individual talent is really high. The biggest difference I would say is the level of football scheme, knowledge, IQ, and all that, because you don't get a full year of preparation and training and spring football, off-season camps, all that kind of stuff. For us, we get over there. All the American guys get over there roughly a month ish before the season. So that install and getting everything figured out and getting that timing with your receivers and your O line, running backs, all that stuff is really sped up. Which makes the game. You have to kind of keep it simple as far as game plan and all that stuff goes. And then the other big difference is depth, especially on the offensive line. Offensive line is the key to a successful offense, in my opinion. And most of your top offensive linemen in Europe are going to end up playing in the U.S., whether that's college ball, NFL, USFL, XFL, all that kind of stuff. But there's still a ton of talent over there. It just, the level depends. And then when you have somebody get hurt, that replacement is a lot harder to find with the lack of depth over there. But the football itself is great. The culture is very different. It's not like a vacation where you're just over there for a week and you whatever have a good time,
Right.
touristy type thing. I'm over there. I was over there from February to the start of July this year. So you're really ingrained in their culture. You're living over there, spending all of your time with the wherever I was at, Germans, Swiss guys, whatever it is. So you really get ingrained in their culture, which is to me an incredible thing. Football wise, it's really cool to be over there playing, traveling the world, getting to play, getting paid to play is incredible. But the life side of things is really neat, man. The people I've met over there, the places I've gotten to travel to, the things I've gotten to see is just it's a blessing.
Okay. So it seems like it's a valuable option, for guys that don't make it to the NFL or need that second spot
Yeah,
overseas.
100%. 100%.
Mhm.
And I'm very thankful. I got lucky, when I was with the guards this year in Switzerland, my head coach was Norm Chow, which is a coaching legend. Every one of our coaches, offensive side and defensive side, were former NFL guys.
Oh wow.
Um, and so the level of knowledge that they bring to the game and that I got to learn as a future coach was just incredible. There's nothing, I mean, I don't know that you can learn from a better coach than Norm Chow. He's
Mhm.
incredible.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought up coaching because we can kind of make that transition into you starting the private coaching business, private quarterback
hmm
business.
Yes, sir.
What kind of went into that decision, and how smooth was that transition for you?
Yeah. I started doing private training as far as when I was a kid, like seeking out private training. I was
Mhm.
very young. National football academies, and at the time it was just Darren Slack Quarterback Academy. They would come into Greenwood, which is pretty close to where I live, and I kind of started with them. Got into some training with Dub Maddox, who was at Jinx at the time and at Union now. He kind of
Mhm.
got me started on all that, just learning how to throw all the basic quarterback drills and really helped me develop. And then as I progressed through high school, I kept training with some guys. As I got into my probably senior year of high school and into the college, I was helping out at camps, just whatever I could do. I would kind of transition from the student at the camp to a coach, helping out with whatever I could, especially the young guys.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I would do some things. My college head coach was associated with a couple. He ran some camps down in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got in with a couple other guys. QB Ranch, I was helping out with. I ran a camp for them right before I left, and then now I've just started doing it on my own. There's a lot of guys, especially where I'm from, on the Van Buren, Pensacola, that kind of eastern side of Oklahoma, western side of Arkansas. There's a lot of guys over there that have a lot of talent, and I'm kind of just trying to fill that void and find ways to help guys. The same thing that I was looking for when I was young, trying to find a way to help them out. And then as I have progressed and knew I wanted to coach, I'm just trying to continue to expand that and find ways to help guys, I've worked with guys that are 7 years old all the way up to seniors in high school, and I just love every bit of it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. I was gonna ask you any names that you wanted to kind of drop out, just as some of the
Yeah,
quarterbacks that you were able to work with.
I mean, I've worked with a few. Right before I left, I was starting to work with the Van Buren quarterback, Bryce Perkins. Got in with him once or twice, and then I ended up my date to fly overseas got moved up a month because I was signed actually to a team in Japan. So I
Oh
was supposed
wow.
to leave in March. Their coach retired, so I ended up moving that up a month. So I started working with him, and then had to fly out like a week later. But he's probably the oldest guy I worked with this year. He'll be going into his senior year. Got an offer from UAPB right now. Just I'm excited for his senior year. Got hurt in the past, and it kind of detoured his plan, But he's going to have a big senior year this year. So I was
Yeah.
excited just to be able to help him out just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Looking forward to kind of watching it. You know, maybe even keeping track of it here and there
Yeah, one hundred
as the
percent.
season goes on. Well, let's talk a little bit about Edison because you just got hired there. You're working with three
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks there: a Pat Crisp, Jacob Miller, and a Christian Monreal.
Yeah, well, we actually have a freshman that's coming up as well, Braddix, and he is going to step into the mix. So right now we really have Braddix, Jacob, and Pat. With
Okay.
Pat being the senior, he's kind of ahead of the curve right now, just mentally processing things, being an older guy. But yeah, we've had a pretty open competition in the spring, from what I understood with the guy they had last season graduating. They kind of left it open, giving everybody reps as we continued in the summer. I only got to go to one 7-on-7 once I got back. It was the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. We're rolling quarterbacks with first group, second group, third group, just completely open quarterback competition to see who steps up and takes over this team and is ready to give us the best chance to win on Friday nights.
Okay. Okay. Good to hear. I was gonna ask how excited you were to actually get to work with these guys and if you had gotten to meet them yet.
Oh
So.
yeah, I can't wait. I got into summer workouts, I guess, 2 weeks ago. We did one final 7-on-7 before that July 15th or whatever cutoff date hit. So I got to just kind of that was my second day there. So I really just got to kind of watch, take things in, see where they're at and where I can help.
Mm-hmm.
With having a older guy that's a senior, he has been bouncing around different positions. This will be his first year really playing quarterback. He played um, play some linebacker for us, real strong kid, athletic kid with Pat. So I'm getting to kind of teach him, but it's a little bit different teaching a senior rather than it is a freshman.
Right.
So with my younger guys, I'm getting to really just start from ground zero and build up, teach them the basics, trying to really slow cook that development. I don't want to overdo things as a freshman and just either mess them up or put too much on them as a freshman. Just really develop them for the long term plan of their success, as well as the teams. But with Pat, it's he's got 1 year, and we're trying to make the most of it. And I think he has a chance to have a successful season as well. So whoever steps up, I think they're going to have a big season. I'm really excited to see their success and their growth over this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed it all goes well for you guys. Um, I do want to talk a little bit about last year. I know you weren't there, but
Mm-hmm.
4-6 last year. What's your expectation this year, not only for the passing game, but kind of just the team overall?
Yeah, well, last year they had some big wins, some big losses, and then a handful of games right there close. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's the same. Typically when you have a team that's right around that 500, there's a lot of things that if you had just flipped it, they could have either gone, 7-3 or could have dropped to 3-7. It's just those one score games, two score games
Right.
that are really tough, but they could easily be flipped. Um, with what we have this year, especially as a quarterback coach, I'm very thankful. We have very talented wide receivers. tight end room, running backs. Our skill positions are very talented, which makes our job way easier. If
Hmm.
I can get our quarterbacks to get the ball into those guys' hands and let them do their thing, we have a chance to be successful. Our conference is going to be tough. We got a lot of good guys in the area, a lot of tough teams. Um, we have a handful of seniors that are going to step in and help, but we also have a lot of young guys. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys grow over the season and building for. Of course, we want to win a lot of games this year, but building for this year, for next year, and the future.
Hmm.
I'm really excited to see them work. We have a handful of new coaches this year. Seems like most of our staff is new. Coach Workstadt brought in a handful of guys. We've got a new OC. Really like the way that he's doing things. We have a lot of experience on the offense and defensive side of the ball. So as a young coach, it's great for me to be able to bring some knowledge to the room, but also be able to learn from these guys on how that these guys that have been doing it for 10 years, that are way more seasoned than I am, and I'm
Right.
really thankful for that opportunity to learn from them. And I think we have a chance to have a really good season.
Yeah. Hopefully it is. Fingers crossed. Again, knock on wood. I don't
Yeah,
have wood. Everybody stay healthy. Everybody, have a good time, and you guys win a lot of football
100%.
games.
Yes, sir.
So last thing, before we get you out of here, because I know you got to go get ready to
Yes, sir.
put up some game plan. Get ready for
Mm-hmm.
this for the camps to come in. Recruiting. You've been on kind of both sides nowadays. So now that you're
Mm-hmm.
coaching both sides, what is some advice that you want to give to quarterbacks, any position for recruiting purposes?
Yeah, I went through the recruiting process in high school, then I went JUCO and did it again. And then last year, working as a graduate assistant, I was kind of doing the recruiting. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I've been on both sides of it. I think the biggest thing is to not get caught up too much in the stuff outside of your control. There's a lot of guys, especially young guys, that are putting everything out on social media, especially, throwing in the backyard or throwing at a camp, even. That's great stuff, but a lot of guys can throw on air, can throw routes with no defender, can throw one on ones. That game tape is what really is important to me to kind of get you started. And so I think the big thing is these guys need to, I would advise them to train and mentally train, physically train, whatever it is, to be prepared on Friday nights to handle their business. That off season is great to post stuff on social media and go for it. That's great. If that's there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to be prepared to help your team on Friday nights as a high school quarterback. And I think the more that you can do that, the better chance you have of being recruited. So you need to handle your stuff. Um, and then you need to be the hardest worker in the room. Where as a coach, when I was recruiting, it was all right, look at their film. Are they good enough to play at this level? There's a lot of guys that were good enough to play at our level. Next thing, are they eligible? If they're not eligible, there's no point in even recruiting them. There's nothing we can do about it. So
Right.
that's kind of, you have to check those two boxes. And then after that, we're going to go talk to coaches, talk to teachers, talk to parents, whoever it is, to see, do these guys work hard? Do they come in and show up every day, or does a coach have to beg them to get to practice every day? In college, we're not begging a kid to get to practice. If he doesn't want to show up, we'll just move on to the next guy. We're not giving a kid a scholarship if he doesn't want to come in and compete and work every day. So that's the big thing. Control the things that you're in control of. Work, 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 and be ready to play. That's the biggest thing that I would give them advice about.
All right. All right. I appreciate you stopping by and letting me know. Dropping that knowledge on everybody. Um,
100%.
Good luck this season. Fingers crossed for another great season for you guys. A lot more wins, and yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you as well.
Yep. All right. Have a great one.
All right. See you.